Thank you very much. Thank you, Bob. Such a pleasure to be back with you this evening and have a chance for the first time to meet many of you. Many of you, if you haven't heard about our campaign, my name is Ryan Binkley. I am a CEO from Dallas, Texas. I co-founded a merger and acquisition investment bank consulting company about 20 years ago with my dad. It's now grown to be a company of about 400 employees and about 16 offices across the nation. I'm also a pastor. My wife and I have been in ministry most of our married life for 25 years. We have 5 children, and we started a church 10 years ago. And really the name of our church is Create Church. And the vision of the church is to help people find and fulfill their purpose in Christ. And I think that is what our nation is missing right now, is purpose. When we start thinking about what is really broken in our country, and I want to speak to you today about what I see. Because our nation, there's no question we can all go one by one and we all know it's broken. The question is, what do we do about it? And how do we get it back on track? Not just for the Republican Party, because the messages we hear every single day are powerful and clear on the Republican Party and what we need to do and what we stand for. The question is really, to me, not that. The question is, how do we win over more people to our message so we can truly change the culture of this country? And that's what I want to talk to you about tonight. I am pro-life. I'm a fiscal conservative. I stand that we need to have a secure border. We need to be strong in our nation financially. I want to talk to you about that because if we fail financially, we'll never be able to lead well internationally. Right now, we're at a place where China, Xi Jinping, is not even paying attention to us today. Putin is not paying attention to us today. Across the globe, we've lost our influence really because of this one reason. We no longer are good stewards of the U.S. dollar. And because of that, now we've lost trade influence. And I am an economist at heart. I'm a CEO. This is my background, investment banking. I see things economically. I'm also a pastor, so I see things through a heart of people. And this is what we have to get back. We have to have an economic revival in our country, and we have to have a heartfelt spiritual revival. And the time for that is now. To do this, we're going to have to go beyond where we've been. Now, I am one of those as well. I supported President Trump in 2016 and in 2020. I'm not running because I don't like him. Half the candidates are almost surrogates for him. Half of them can't stand him. I'm neither one. I see some great things that he has done. And I really believe that this message we carry, we have to go to another level in it, but we have to connect to a different group of people today because our nation is getting lost. Here's how. President Trump and all the good things he did, he only won 46% of the vote in the last 2 elections. 46%. We lost 46 of the top 50 cities by population. Now, I am from Dallas, Texas. This is so important for us to see because Iowa's amazing. By the way, you're the most patriotic, God-fearing, God-loving state I've ever been. It's amazing. But 83% of the country, of the population of the United States, lives in large cities. And we lost 46 of the top 50. I'm from Texas. Great state as also. We're not quite as red as you are. We're kind of this bluish, big dots of blue in our red state. It's kind of purple now because we lost Dallas. We lost Houston. We lost San Antonio. We lost Austin, which we expect to lose Austin. It's kind of crazy and weird. But here's what happened. We lost Fort Worth in the last election. Fort Worth, what I would call it, would be the Alamo of Republican conservatives in North Texas, and we lost it to Joe Biden for the first time in 65 years. This is a red flag to us all to go, what's our message? How are we connecting to urban America? So I want to talk to you about how we can do that. Now, we can't do that, and we first get back to our first message, and that's who are we? We used to be this message of the Republicans are the wise stewards financially. We were the adults in the room that would gather everybody together and keep us on track financially while everybody else tried to buy votes with your children's future. Republicans were there holding the line. And if we're honest with ourselves, we know we've lost that message. It's been since Ronald Reagan. Go back to Ronald Reagan till you had a president of the United States that even breathed these words, we need to balance the budget. So I can go back to Bush. I can go back now, of course, to Obama. Then you can go back all the way to even Trump. He did some good things, but $7.5 trillion in debt underneath those 4 years. Now, the economist side of me will tell you when Biden doubled down on that, and we've gone now $15 trillion. We are $32 trillion in debt, but that is not the problem. Here's the problem. We have no way out. In 8 years, we're going to be over $50 trillion in debt. And this is why I'm running. I got asked this question early on. My wife was there. Somebody came up to my wife and said, why are you in this race? Nobody knows who you are. She just said this one phrase: for the next generation. I am running because your kids and my kids will not have the opportunity. Your grandchildren will not have the opportunity you have, because right now we're at an inflection point. And if you've taken algebra and you understand those concaves, that's about the turning of a change of a curve. And something is about to either shift downward even further. You may ask yourself, how could that be possible? Oh, it's possible. Oh, it's possible. In fact, we are going to be right now, we are setting on, I think this, the weakest economic foundation since the Great Depression. And I'm running to save this country financially. And when we do this, and we're the only candidate, I think, maybe Perry Johnson did, I'll give him that, put together a balanced budget plan. And we have a 7-year economic rescue plan. And it's time for Republicans to lead financially again and hold to it forever. Our plan, it's in detail on how we can do it. It's not too austere. It's going to take navigation. Here's what it's going to take: leadership. I cannot vilify a moderate or a Democrat on Friday and say, hey, come work with me on the budget on Monday. It's going to take a new level of leadership, because if we do not do this, we are going to struggle. We're going to see hyperinflation. We're already seeing it now. The Fed cannot raise rates any longer. They are hamstrung. And here's why. Because the only method the Fed has to stop inflation is by raising rates. And 60% of our country is managed by regional banks that did not get the heads up from the Fed to get rid of these long-term treasuries you had. And many of our cash that's in these banks is supported by treasuries that were built on the last 15 or 20 years of an easy money policy that had 1%, 0% rates to them. And now these banks' assets are worth 80 cents on the dollar. And that's the reason we had 3 bank failures earlier this year. Do you remember those? The size of those 3 banks was the size of 25 banks in 2008. Meanwhile, our credit rating goes down. Janet Yellen says there's nothing to see here. Biden says just go back to work. I'm telling you, it's a canary in the coal mine. We have to be careful. We can't keep doing what we're doing. It's not business as usual. So we're going to need to balance the budget. I have a plan to how to do that. It actually involves this. It involves us transforming healthcare first. Healthcare is something Republicans have never led in. I have got a plan that actually removes about 40 to 50% of costs out of healthcare, because this is the waste we have in every single bit. This is the only thing we do in America that we have socialized. And we have socialized medicine in America. When is the last time you went to a doctor's office and you asked them this one question: how much does it cost for me to be here today? We've been trained. Don't ask. Just give me your card. We don't buy tractors that way. We don't buy cars that way. We don't buy barbecue that way. We don't buy anything that way. But we just give them our card and we find out 90 days later, how much did that cost? Well, thank God I have insurance. Well, here's what's happening. Everybody in the private market is subsidizing everyone else in not only America, but in most of the world. And here's how. This private insurance is ballooning. We spend in my company, I have over 300 employees, $31,000 a year with a high deductible plan. People can't afford it anymore. What's going to happen is it's going to get transformed, and we have a way to save it before it breaks. Because right now it's supporting Medicare, supporting Medicaid, it's supporting Obamacare as well. And if this continues, it's going to break. And the reason is because it doesn't make sense anymore. Why would a young family of 25 years old spend $31,000 a year for a family of 4 of insurance when they can just self-insure? And this is what's happening. There are 3 prices for healthcare, and this is what my plan would do. First of all, bring price visibility to the equation. I would require there to be absolute prices. When you go to a hospital, what's an MRI? What's an X-ray cost? What's a GI endoscopy cost? You should know. They should have it up there. Think of the Uberization of healthcare, where you can Google and find out who's your doctor, what's their rating. It should be as easy for you to have visibility into healthcare as you do your car insurance. If you don't like your car insurance, what do? How long does it take? 5 seconds. If you don't like your healthcare, what do? You cry. That's what you do. And you complain because you can't change it till next year maybe, and you have really no voice at all. We've got to have price visibility. Next thing we do is we have to put you back in charge again. We have to create a consumer motivation beyond just the deductible to where now you're in charge of shopping again. And when you have price visibility for cash prices, which we'll have, because every hospital has at least 3 prices. They have a list price, they have a negotiated price, and they have a cash price. One of my executive sons had a child, and and they were going to have their baby. They had a high deductible plan, $12,000 plan. They're newly married. Bob, they didn't have $12,000. Did anybody have $12,000 the day you got married? I mean, and they said, well, what do we do? And the hospital came back and said, can you pay cash? And like, well, how much is it? They said, how about $5,000? Now listen, that's 60%. That is the waste that's in the system through a managed system of pharmacy, a managed system of insurance, and we have monopolies in every form, from pharmaceutical care to insurance exchanges to healthcare providers. And this is what we need to do, lastly, is break up the monopolies of the whole system. Break them up. There's not been one monopoly in America that ever dissolved itself because they were altruistic and just decided on their own, you know what, for the good of America, I'm just going to break myself up. No, you have to break them up. We have 3 pharmacy benefit managers in America that control 83% of the market. 3. You have about 2 or 3 major healthcare providers right here in Iowa. I've got over 6,000 competitors in my merger and acquisition business. Competition breeds it. We're going to change healthcare, and it'll change the economy. It'll allow us to balance the budget, and it'll free up our economy. Right now, it's $4 trillion a year. It is actually about 35% of our overall budget's going to healthcare. It's bankrupting our nation. The other thing we need to do is we need to secure the border. We have to do it with the military right away. Every candidate saying the military, here's how I'm different. That's a short-term solution. We actually have to have money to secure the border. Money. Congress holds the power of the purse. If all we do is put the military there, the next candidate that comes in may or may not want to put them there. If they're a Democrat, Lord forbid, then of course they're going to pull them out completely. All the drugs, all the human trafficking is going to be right back at our doorstep. So we have got a plan of comprehensive plan to really bring order to this and to bring a 50-year solution to the border. Military is a short-term solution, but after that, we've got a plan for that, and that is in our Security and Border Act. We have to have it. We have to secure the border. We have human trafficking all-time high. The other thing, and this is the other message I want to share with you briefly, it's about how are we going to truly win urban America? What is the Republicans' message to urban America? Downtown Des Moines. If you and I walked into downtown Des Moines and we said, hey, what party's at the table with you? What are they going to say? If you go with me to downtown Dallas, I go there, what party's at the table with you? 9 out of 10 will say the Democratic Party. And so what is our message to them? What is the Republican message of why should you choose to be a Republican when the Democratic Party is offering you free food, free health care, free tuition, free whatever? Why? And our message is this: you can do and become anything you want to be. And that's been our message for 40 years. But here's the problem. After that, we've just said, good luck. Call us if you need us. And here's what we have to do different. If we want them to believe that a small government, free economy, independent economy is better than socialism, that we actually have to show them and demonstrate it through community service, through volunteerism, of education and vocational trades again. We have to put urban America back to work again and give them the opportunity to get out of poverty and have a real job that pays a family living wage again. And that's what we'll do in my administration. We're going to start putting people back to work. You do it really well in Iowa. It's not done anywhere else. Certainly not done in Texas. We've taken vocational trades out of the scheme, and we have to do it back. And when we do this, we're going to be strong as a nation again. You know, I'm telling college students, college students hate politics. My wife and I did young adult ministry for 17 years. I was in business, but we just volunteered, for young adults. They will not follow a leader if there's no authenticity there, period. They're not. And they also won't follow anybody if they don't show care for the most hurting. It's just the truth. They haven't started paying taxes yet. They're just still in this dream state. But I want to ask college students, do this with me. Abandon politics, but join us in the movement to love your neighbor. If you want to change the culture of America, change the life of a child. And when you and I start focusing on what some of these great charities do, right here in Des Moines, where we start teaching people with community service and after-school programs, teaching them how to read, write, and do math, which you guys are getting back to right here in this county. I was looking at my team going, this is the answer. Back to the basics is the answer. When we do after-school programs and show them this is what they're going to know. That person that helped me after school, they changed my life. They mentored me. They showed me that I could have another plan. I don't know what party they were, but they were my friend. And this is what they are going to know. They're going to know it wasn't the government that helped them. They're going to know it's somebody that cared. And when we bring this care back in our country, this is how we'll lead well again. One of our hats here has believe, and You know, my first month here in Iowa, I was speaking with Governor Reynolds in Dickinson County. I was the only candidate that got to speak that night, and we were on our way to a pizza ranch in the middle of the day, and we were running late. Andrew, who's back here in the back, was driving my pickup, and I didn't know y'all been praying for rain. Y'all been praying for rain all summer, hadn't you? So anyway, we took a shortcut on a gravel road. It turned in one of your other grade level roads. It's a dirt road. And on the other side of the road, it had rained. So we start fishtailing it. And I'm like, dear God, because all you could see was cornfields for thousands of miles. I mean, just nothing else. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And so, and anyway, we tried to speed up and get all the way up to the next hill, and we couldn't, and we slid back down. I'm in a suit like this. I get out, I'm this much in mud. I'm supposed to be with the governor in 4 hours. In 20 minutes, I'm supposed to be at the pizza ranch. And I'm like, well, God, if the tow truck was right there, we would not have been able to get out. It was that muddy. A friend of mine walked up the hill, and a lady stopped in a white pickup truck. And this is what I'm telling America we have to have again. We have to believe in God and each other. We have to have faith, because a lady in a white pickup truck rolled down her window and said, "Can I help you?" She had a friend that had a tractor, and he came and got us. And listen to this. Her name was Faith. Amen. Faith got us out that day. I made it. I was 20 minutes late to the pizza ranch. And I tell people, this is what I love about Iowans, because all of them waited. I mean, who does that? In Dallas, Texas, they'd all left, you know. And I bought these shoes right here at Shelby County Shoe Store, size 12, because my other ones were ruined. So I contributed to Shelby County's economy. But $99, by the way, if you need one. But this is what we have to do, because when we get God back in our country again, which is this, not me trying to be America's pastor, but me sharing a message of love and care and wisdom. And I see things economically, but I think it's okay to say, you know what? We do need God in our country again. If we can't see evil from darkness and light, then we're not seeing correctly. And what we're seeing happen in Israel, we can all see that. The reason I believe that America should stand strong with Israel and stand forever with Israel, when Israel made their statement, they became a nation again. Who was the first nation that day? Do you know the first person, the first country was President Truman in the United States of America that said, "We're backing you right now." Everybody here that's a believer in Christ knows the significance of Israel to our nation. It is not our time to leave them alone and let terrorism go all throughout the Middle East. It's not time for that. I don't care what it costs. It's not time for that. We will secure our border, but it's not time to just say goodbye. We are putting a fleet out there now, and you know what we should? It's a deterrence, and that's okay. I know we need to be strong here, but we cannot forget who we are. And as President of the United States, I will do my best to lead our country in the right track for your kids, my kids, and our future, and for us to have a nation that still believes in God by doing this, showing the love of God everywhere we can. And this is the way we'll do it, by just paying attention to those that are hurting the most. If we will pay attention to those that are hurting the most, we'll have God's attention again. And when we have God's attention, it'll change our nation. Thank you very much. Thank you.